Hi, I'm Christopher States. I am Carla States' daughter, and I couldn't be there tonight, but I wanted to speak a little bit about my adoption and what it means to me and my story as far as adoption and foster care goes. So I made this little video, so I hope you guys can all bear through it with me. I'll try to keep it short. So I was born 1987 in September. I don't know why I just inverted that, but that's when I was born. I was born in Philadelphia, and my birth mother had some complications in her life, and it was going to be a hard time to take care of me. And so my mom, Carla State, at the time was working with foster care. So she got the call that there was a baby available that she could take care of, and that was going to be placed into foster care. She's super excited, or so she tells me, and she went to the hospital and picked me up, and she started to care for me. And my birth mother was working on her goals to get me back, and she had a really rough time working through that. And 13 months later, my sister Noelle was born, and my biological mother asked my mom Carla if she would keep her girls together. So my mom got two little babies, and she was taking care of both of us. And she started going to a singles group. And the story is that my dad noticed this beautiful blonde, but she had two kids. He was a little nervous about talking to her, but he thought she was so pretty that he couldn't resist. And so they fell in love, and they decided to get married, and so they did. And then after they were married, they adopted my sister Noelle and I, and we also have a brother, Zach, and we consider him homemade. That's what we like to call him. He's homemade because he's not adopted. So I'm the eldest of three and one of two adopted children in our family. And growing up, my parents were always very open about our adoption. They always kept an open line of communication, and I'm not sure how little I was when they started to explain it to us, but I remember my mom always reading this book to us called The Mulberry Bird, and it explained adoption through the eyes of kind of an adopted bird. So it was in plain terms that a young child could understand, and so from a very young age, my sister and I always knew that we were adopted, and it was something that I never really thought of growing up. My parents were my parents, and I never really felt any differently about life or anything like that. And so, yeah. Then going away into college, growing up, to take a step back, my brother, sister, and I always said to our parents, like, we always want to have lots of brothers and sisters. Like, we thought that would be the coolest thing in the entire earth. And so my parents were like, we have three kids. Why do we need more kids? You guys are responsibility enough. We'll get through this, and we'll see what happens. So as we got older and we went to college and started, coming into adulthood, I guess my parents felt that God was calling them to start doing foster care. And so my parents filled out the paperwork and started the long process of becoming foster parents. And for my junior year of college, we received our first child, Blessed. And I remember coming home from break and going into my bedroom and being startled by the fact that there was a bassinet, and I opened the drawer to get some of my clothes on. There was like diapers in there, and at first I was like offended. I was like, what in the world? This baby comes in here, is going to be in my room, and taken over, like I'm my mom's oldest daughter, like who does this baby think she is? And that was such a poor attitude to have. And for a little bit there, I was, I guess, jealous or a little bit hurt. And what it mostly was me being selfish. And so at first, I was excited about the baby because I thought it was super cool. But at the same time, I didn't want to give up my selfish heart and give up my bedroom and have to sleep on the sofa for a couple nights because we had this new baby. And so foster care has really humbled me and has shown me that It's not about us, and it's not about sleeping in our own beds or having all of these things. It's about serving others, and especially serving children in this case. And so it took me a little while to understand that and get a good grasp of it. But foster care for me um, has shown me a lot of sacrifices, and only little ones on my part because I'm not there all the time, but on my parents' part, and especially my mom, because she's a full-time caretaker, and just how much love and energy that she puts into every single child. And I think something that I've really learned through foster care, and mostly through my mother, is the extension of unconditional love. And God doesn't say love when it feels good or love when we want to or um, you know love because we feel like it. He says love your neighbor as yourself and love when it's hard and love when it's tough. And my mom pours her heart and soul into each one of these children, knowing full well that at any time they can go back to the families that they came from or be placed in another home or anything can really happen. And my mom just pours her heart out, and um, it's just an amazing thing to watch and to be part of. And my mom always loved us unconditionally, and she came to every single one of my sporting events or music events or anything that we were part of. My mom was always there for. And I think it's different living it and then seeing it in real life and being able to watch my mom, um, just be a bold lover every single day, even when it's so difficult. And going back to my adoption, I think I have a little bit maybe better understanding of what it feels like to be adopted into Christ's family because of my adoption. And my mom and dad didn't have to love me, and they didn't have to adopt me, and they didn't have to go out of their way to make sure that I had everything that I ever needed and never wanted for anything, but they did. And I think that's such an example of what Christ's love looks for us. We don't deserve to be loved by God, and we don't deserve any of that, or we didn't deserve salvation, but He gave it to us anyway. And I think that's a really cool thing, and especially to watch my parents live it out and love me even when they didn't have to. They picked me, which is pretty cool too. I think that's a really neat feeling to know that they picked me and they wanted me, and it's pretty cool. And I guess to sidestep um, about some questions that people typically ask me about adoption or things like that. I think this one's kind of funny, but sometimes people ask me, well, do you feel different being adopted? Like, do you not feel like a normal son or daughter would? And I guess I don't know what it's like to be a normal son or daughter because I think I was. I just happened to be adopted. But growing up, I just never felt out of place or that I didn't belong or that my parents weren't my parents because they really are. They raised me and they love me and things like that. So from that standpoint, I never felt like ostracized or any different, or I never felt that there was any bridge between me and my siblings, even Zach, who is homemade. It's always been, me and my brother and sister have always been very close, and the same thing with my mom and dad. So, yeah, I never really felt any different being adopted, I guess. Another question that I get asked is, would you like to meet your biological parents? And that one is a tough question for me because I've gone back and forth about whether or not I would want to meet my birth parents or see what they're up to or kind of know. And I think I've kind of come to a point in my life where I'm at peace with the fact that um, my birth mother, um, birthed me and she gave me life, and that's awesome. And I'm so thankful that she chose life and not to abort or things like that, that she gave me the chance to live in. Yeah, and with that being said, that was her purpose. It wasn't to be my mother, because Carla is my mother. She's my only mom, and she always will be. And Curtis is my dad. He's my only dad, and he always will be. And so I'm thankful that she made a great decision to say I can't love you the way that I'd like to maybe, and I can't care for you the way that I'd like to, so I want you to have something better. And for that, I'm very thankful for. And to sidestep that, some people say, well, what if you could have a conversation with your birth mom? Like, what would that look like? Are you mad at her? Like, do you hate her? Like, what do you think of her? And I just have a lot of respect for someone that can be honest with themselves and honest with the situation and say, I can't do this. And it's not that I don't want to necessarily, but I can't. And I know that there's someone out there that can. And so I'm thankful that she decided to do that, and that I had the honor and privilege of being adopted into the States family. And I take my last name very seriously. And as an athlete, it's kind of cool because I get to put on that jersey and wear my last name, and it's my adopted name, but it's just kind of cool, and I really take pride in that too. So yeah, so that's a little bit about my adoption and some questions some people ask me. And I hope that you guys got a little something out of this, and they have a good rest of the night. Thanks.